Welcome to Hoops Zooted, the show that combines your two favorite things, weed and basketball. Pack a bowl, grab a seat, and join Evan and Colin as they get high and talk about Lakers basketball and whatever else comes to their wandering brains. Light it, don't hide it.
Welcome everyone. It is Evan tonight, just Evan tonight. Yeah, we were gonna on Friday we were gonna record, and I was gonna have the entire Purple and Gold Mines crew, but things fell apart. One of them ended up being traveling, so it was initially just going to be four, and then two of them got sick, and that didn't happen, and then when we sat down to record on Friday with the two, I had been having trouble with my mic on my computer, and so I moved it over to my old computer, thinking that things were going to be fine, and that ended up being a disaster because my old computer just didn't have the speed to handle a lot of that, and sort of all kinds of lag, and just so we ended up scrapping that recording and just not going with it. So anyway, here we are. Lakers just won, and I also just decided to give Colin the night off tonight. Because I had a bunch of things I wanted to say, and we didn't get to do our recording Friday. I still wanted to get something out, and get my thoughts out and everything like that. But anyway, we had an actually pretty good week this week. We were 4-1 this week, and 2 games above 500, 8-6 now, and just got to watch, a great, down to the wire win. We just won 105-104 against the Rockets, and great game. Austin hit the go-ahead three, and had a chance to ice it with 2 free throws. Ended up only hitting one of the two free throws, unfortunately. And Houston then tied it again. They fouled LeBron. LeBron hit one of 2 free throws with 1.9 seconds left. Houston had no timeouts left. Dylan Brooks tried to throw up a 3 at the end to win it, but missed, and Lakers come out victorious, 105-104. So, I feel like, this team really made good incremental progress, and they're not cooking yet, but I feel like the pan is starting to sizzle a little bit. So, good signs. There's still a lot to work on for sure. Braun, especially, he's had some issues, and I also like to address some of this too. Because there's a lot of people that have given me a hard time on the timeline for criticizing LeBron for these things. And the funny thing is, I'm not the only one. There's plenty of other people, monitoring his stats and keeping up with this stuff that have pointed this out as well. But he's been terrible at boxing out, and it's been a big glaring issue because the entire team has been terrible at boxing out. And I felt like in a lot of ways it was showing that he's not leading by example. And a lot of people want to criticize me for that because they don't want me to criticize LeBron in any way. And I think that they have to understand that that nobody's perfect, and I'm not criticizing him because I dislike him or anything like that. I'm criticizing him because it's true. It's right in front of our faces. We can see it, and I'm sure he can see it too. And I'm sure he's looking at it in game tape, and he's criticizing it himself. So I think everybody needs to kind of just relax a little bit about that, and I don't understand a lot of this sand culture that just feels this need to, you know, defend a player's honor at every every step. It just gets a little out of control. So anyway, just wanted to say that a little bit, and talk about that. But you know, tonight LeBron really looked great. He was his amazing offensive self as usual. But he seemed to have tightened that up quite a bit. And he really tightened up the turnovers tonight too, because that was another issue, was that he'd been turning over the ball a lot. And these are fair criticisms. And it doesn't diminish his greatness in any way, and I also don't like everybody who wants to excuse him, just because he's 39 years old. Um, because he can still play this game at a high level. We've all seen it. He's capable. He knows he's capable. And I'm sure he expects just as much out of himself. And like I said, I'm sure he's watching these game films and he's just as critical of himself, as I am of being him, and probably even more critical of himself, I would imagine. So, you know, part of what we're doing here, is having conversations, and there shouldn't be any problem with us, you know, giving constructive criticism to a player, because if there are parts of their game that they're, coming up short with, there's no problem with criticizing their game. I have no problem criticizing, Austin or D'Lo, and they're two of my favorite players on the team right now. And a lot of people have been criticizing them, and I don't, feel this need to jump on the timeline and cape up for them at every point. It seems a little ridiculous. Like, just own up to it. They played bad, and they need to do better. And Austin seems to be getting his mojo back a little bit. He's still having some issues, but I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that he's getting scouted regularly now, and it's become a little bit tougher, now that people know, and he's not sneaking up on people and surprising people. And people know what to expect from him now and know where his spots are and are doing a good job of trying to keep him away from it. So but he's slowly adjusting, and he had a nice night tonight. Hit that critical three there at the end, and almost completely iced the game for us. But anyway, good progress for this team. Like I said at the beginning, I like the incremental progress that this team has made. It's been a little slow, of course. We'd all like it to be a lot better, but given the circumstances and where we are in the West, not too bad. They're here sitting at 8-6, 2 games above 500. Hopefully, next game is Utah. It's a tournament game. And, I feel like this tournament has really helped motivate this team so much. And, I was a detractor of the tournament to begin with, but, I've really come to enjoy it. The games have been really entertaining, and, so it's really won me over. And, I think that, LeBron and, AD has even spoken to the press himself, talking about the money, being like a motivator. And, here we are, we're 4-0 in the group and ready to play Utah. They're 3-1, so we're sitting alone at the top of that group. And, we beat Utah, we'll have top seeding in that group. So yeah, I'm excited, and I think that they'll be motivated. And that's the thing that I also appreciate about this tournament, is that it's given the Lakers this extra motivation here in November that they seem to not be able to get with a lot of other games. So thank you, NBA, for making the Lakers care about some games in November. It's it's nice. in that respect. Um, so anyway, like I said, it's been a good week, and things are looking up. It's we did have a slow start, but like look on the bright side, and I'm I, I I'm not going to console you with the at least we're not 2-10 because I'm sure nobody wants to hear that shit. So but just you know we are making good progress, but there's still a lot of work to do, and there's still a lot of things that need to be cleaned up, and you know people have plenty of things to complain about on the timeline. So yeah, don't like interpret this as saying that that everything is rosy and like we're all the way there, because we're a long way away. I did predict this team to win 62 games, and yes, 54 more to go. So long way to go. But I still believe in the core of this team, you know. So anyway, moving on, we could talk a little bit, I think, there's a subject that, Colin and I seem to talk about every week, and it's always about drama. Yes, yes. A little telenovela introduction there for talking about James Harden now. So yes, because the drama continues with the Clippers. The never-ending saga. And it's gotten really kind of bittersweet. You know, Russ this week volunteered in quotes. Yeah, because a lot of us aren't so sure of whether or not he volunteered. Um, yeah, I have my doubts. Uh, Coerced might be a better word, but only they know. So anyway, that's how it was reported. It was reported as that he had volunteered to go to the bench. So anyway, like to me, my first reaction was like kind of one of sadness. Like Russ really had this team cooking before Harden showed up. And I felt like if this was really going to work, Harden should have been the one to go to the bench. Um, you know, Russ and PG play really well together. Their speeds match well together, you know, and I think that you could have brought Harden off the bench and done your best to then try and match his minutes with Kawhi, because at least him and Kawhi play at more of the same speed, and that could have worked a little bit better. But now you have Russ coming off the bench, and yeah, and now immediately we're getting a lot of leaks from inside, talking about what's going on and talking about how they didn't believe in Russ, and James Harden is potentially their replacement for him, and it just breaks my heart for Russ. He loves this game so much. He gives so much to it. I'm still heartbroken that it didn't work out here with the Lakers. I mean, for so many reasons. You know, I really wanted it to work out when Russ came here, and you know, it was terrible it didn't. And so just seeing this happen, over the same thing happening all over again here with the Clippers, it's really depressing. And my initial reaction is kind of want to be like, because just be a little ghoulish about it and kind of laugh and make jokes about like Steve Ballmer, the king of toilets, flushed his own team, and but like the other side of the coin is like it's just really sad what they've done to Russ here now, and you know, like I just don't. I don't think it's going to work out. And I think, like I've already seen, on the timeline, a lot of the Russ stands are also really unhappy today, because, and I don't blame them. Like, it obviously they didn't believe in him. And, it's, yeah, as much as he gave them, it's really kind of shameful. It's really shameful. So, yeah. And, they did finally get their first win when Russ went to the bench, because they've been on a losing streak. So, there's going to be people that are going to be like, "Oh, it worked," but like, that's one game. Let's see, because I think taking Russ out of the equation, you know, could long term definitely, hurt this team's chances. And this team still, in a lot of ways, is just kind of a collection of pieces as opposed to a team. And I think until they kind of figure out how to be more of a team, and it's going to be tough with four stars like that, and good luck with Russ uh, on the bench now. And he's already, unhappy, and didn't talk to the press after this first game. And sure, a lot of people are going to, a lot of the Russ fans may jump on me for getting at this, but like it speaks to a lot of something. He's not happy, and like he was happy before this, and it's just, yeah, like what in the world are the Clippers doing? And they saw, right next door last year what happened when we sent him to the bench and didn't keep him happy. And one game, and it's already happened with them. So, oof, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Anyway, we move on now. The Warriors, their losing streak continues. That's now 6 in a row that they've lost. And part of this is because Draymond, had to be suspended for quite a few games. But a big part of this is that, Steph is pretty much their entire offense. I've been, making jokes with people that like, it's no longer the Splash Brothers. It's, the Splash Brother, and Clay is now a Mist Brother. And just, it's the way it is. Like, everybody declines. Father Time is undefeated, and they've, this offense of theirs just depends so much completely on Steph that, that's a lot to ask. That's a heavy lift, especially in the Western Conference, with the defending champion that's got so much size and so much length that everybody is trying to, conquer. And, the Warriors, in my opinion, are in a lot of trouble, and losers are 6 straight now. It's pretty obvious. Like, 6-2 to now 6-8, just like that. That's how fast things can happen here in the NBA. A streak like that, you can go from top to bottom real quick. So anyway, and Draymond, like I just feel like at this point in his career, like he just doesn't have it anymore. And it's also kind of sad because like it feels like he's just resorting to being a bully at this point. And the choking of Rudy Gobert was completely unnecessary and just, I mean, over the top. And I think we could all agree that it looked like he was just dying to do that, just like waiting for his opportunity. So it's just, you're a great player. You've got a great legacy, Draymond, and just to see you continue to tarnish it with just foolish, terrible things like this. It's really, yeah, it's frustrating and annoying. Even as a Laker fan, but just as somebody who loves basketball, yeah, because I also like Draymond. I like him as a personality. He's an interesting personality. He has a lot to say. He's never afraid to speak his mind. I like him, but he needs to chill the fuck out. Good God. That's, just being serious here, and then, I think we also need to be real here. Like, well, be real here, but like, let's talk about like something that's not so real too. Like maybe the curse of CP3 is it's a real thing, like, I mean, everywhere everywhere he goes, he gets so close, and they look like they had something good going here. He was bringing like 8 or 9 assists coming off the bench, and Warriors look like, hey, maybe they did figure it out, but it was still all Steph. It was kind of smoke and mirrors because Steph was doing all the offense. But anyway, they're a mess right now, and my condolences to the Warriors. When your dynasty dies, it is difficult. I've seen it happen 3 times, and yeah, it was difficult to watch every time. So anyway, no, I just being a little smug. That's okay, But it's all love, Warriors fans. It's all love, Warriors fans. Anyway, you know, now on to a little bit about the Suns. Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal, he's out for 3 weeks now. And it's a back injury. And I don't know any of you that ever hurt your back, but it's super debilitating, and it can be super chronic, and hard to treat and hard to take care of, hard to get better, basically. So yeah, like Suns invested a lot in this big three, and Beal has had injury issues the past few years, and yeah, it does not look good for them right now. And I'm starting to wonder if these injuries are going to end up ending Beal's career too. It's really kind of sad in that respect too. Um, so anyway, because I feel like Phoenix without that big three, they're not as scary. If they've got that big three, that offense can be so good that I think it can compensate for a lot of their defensive issues. I still don't see them as a deep playoff team without some sort of improvement on defense. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate. That had to happen to Bradley, and back injuries are just the worst. Just I injured my back years ago, and it took me years to get it better, and I stretch it like regularly these days, and it's pretty good these days. And I'm very careful about how I lift things too, and because yeah, back pain is debilitating, and it's terrible. So anyway, that's about all I got this week for NBA talk. Since it's just me, but I wanted to get up here and say some things. I do want to talk also a little bit about Snoop Dogg. He tweeted out on Twitter. Well, on Twitter, I'm still going to call it Twitter. Sorry, I'm not going to call it X. That's just silly to me. Like, sorry, like I'm a Gen Xer, and I still like I kind of despise that term, like Gen Xer, and like the whole like extreme like connection and all that. So like anyway, losing my train of thought on that one. But anyway, back to Snoop Dogg. He announced that he has quit smoking. And put out a thing. Like please. I can't remember the exact wording, but please be patient me. Please be patient with me in this difficult time, or anything. So anyway, I tweeted back of, we at Hoop Suited actually, we're sad to hear this, but we do support this wholeheartedly, because, for a couple of reasons, for one, like if he is really quitting, like we all can acknowledge, like, we love marijuana, but like putting smoke in your lungs is not the best thing in the world for you. So, and as you get older, like, yeah, you'll want to smoke a little bit less anyway. And so, for that reason, if he really is quitting, and most likely just going to edibles, because that's the other thing. He did just say he just quit smoking, you know, but didn't say anything about the edibles. So anyway, um, and then the other reason, gosh, lost my train of thought here for a second there. Here, let me take a sip again. I was getting a little dry in the mouth, and again, that's one of the nice things about having somebody else here, to talk to too, is you get that little break to take a sip or take a smoke, or and yeah, I never mentioned that at the beginning. I hadn't taken I'd already smoked before this, was smoking a little cherry AK-47, because didn't want to smoke during this because it's just me, because figured it would be a little, awkward to have just a little bit of dead air while I take a hit, and then, maybe a few coughs. And so anyway, back to what I was saying, and then the other reason, yes, now I remember that, losing my train of thought. Yeah, sometimes I just need to talk to myself. But the other reason that I support this wholeheartedly with Snoop is that I think I know what he's doing. I think he's about to launch a line of edibles. So yes, very smart, very shrewd way to bring attention to himself, and nice marketing move. So I have a feeling that, like, in the next week or so, maybe around Christmas time or something, there's going to be some sort of special edibles announcement from Snoop. So I think that that's what that's all about. So anyway, but if you are really quitting smoking, hats off to you, Snoop. Someday we all got to quit someday. Like I said, putting smoke in your lungs is not the greatest thing in the world. I'll quit someday myself. But probably still do edibles. Because so anyway, that's about it. We always wrap up, with one final thing. So, but there's only me, but I'm gonna do the intro, and it's gonna be a little different than normally what we do. So here we go.
It's time for historical circle. Gas or
So anyway, since I don't have anyone here to toss it to, um, about and do our little historical stoner circle fun. I'm going to talk about, you know, my stoner Mount Rushmore. For me, you know, I have to start, of course, with my two favorite stoners of all time. Um, Guys that have been making me laugh since I was probably about 14 years old, even before I knew about weed. Um, and, well, I shouldn't say knew about weed, but before I was doing weed. Um, but Cheech and Chong, Cheech and Chong, I love those two guys. They are so funny, and to me, they are kings of stoners, and it's great to see that they're still doing their thing. They're still going, and Tommy has beat cancer thanks to marijuana, so go stoners. Those two like are at the top. They're my Mount Rushmore. And then of course, you know, we got Snoop Dogg, you know. Snoop's just, one of the greatest stoners of all time. And then my fourth is Willie Nelson. You know, I've loved Willie Nelson since I was a kid, loved his music. And, so if I could ever get high with the four of them, that would be the most epic time of my life. That would be like bucket list complete. Like you can, whatever happens after that, I can die happy kind of moment. So anyway, like if any of you have a stoner Mount Rushmore, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious. So anyway, it's been great again talking to everybody, and hope you don't mind that it's just me this week. Um, and we'll be back next week. With me and Colin. Possibly a guest. We still haven't figured that out, but we'll be back next week. We will, hopefully record on Friday. We're still working through Thanksgiving, so we'll still have content for you guys next week. But anyway, till then, hope you guys all have a great time and stay zooted.
In the history of mankind, men have been called out and written up millions of times over. But only one man was written up for, and I quote, making barnyard noises and wouldn't stop. Rest in power, my friend. Washiko.